Russ. I gotta tell what I feel.
Russ is one.
Of course, everybody knows about the story yesterday where the Dallas police officer who went into Botham John's home and murdered him. Said she was in the wrong apartment and the whole nine. And she was convicted. And they gave her 10 years. Eligible for parole in 5, but can probably get out in 3. And it makes you wonder, what is the value of a black man's life? Crystal Mason, I don't know if you guys are familiar with Crystal Mason in Texas, was sentenced to 5 years in prison last year for voting illegally. 5 years in prison for voting illegally. She didn't know she couldn't vote because she was a convicted felon. But there are some people are like, man, I'm just glad she got some time because we're so used to police officers being acquitted. Michael Brown's murderer, Eric Garner's murderer, Tamir Rice's murderer, Philando Castile murderer. We're just like, we're just happy that, we got this. But flip it a little bit. What about the black police officer in Minnesota that was called to a disturbance, and some lady came running up on the car, and he shot her and killed her. And it was a white woman, unfortunately, and this is sad. And I don't want to compare catastrophes and tragedies, but this police officer was given 12 and a half years. He's a Somalian gentleman. 12 and a half years.
Of color.
Mm-hmm. And both in John's life was just such a beautiful saint. I mean, just you hear his story, and it was so beautiful. But they really tried to do everything in their power to get this woman off. They used the castle defense, which is something about you have a right to protect your home. Wasn't your home. They used the stand your ground piece of crap of legislation that should never exist. They used the self-defense, crime of passion. They pulled everything out. She was molested as a child. That caused her to murder Botham. But the whole world is talking about the moment when Botham John's brother asked if he could hug the woman that killed his brother. And not only did he hug her, the judge came and hugged her. Forgiveness is huge. I don't have to like it because that wasn't more for her. I think that was more for him.
Yeah.
And I don't need to sit here and ponder the value of a black life. I can bring it up and say it is a problem for me, but you cannot stand in the way of the power of God. You just can't. Such a bigger person and a bigger family to be able to do that and give her forgiveness like that. And I don't know what I would do in that situation, but when God takes over, you cannot question it. And I'm not going to do that. That's my rant.